What is up, everyone? So, it's been a while since I did a Killing Floor 2 video, but seeing as this is one of the games I play most often and is also one of my favorites, I figured we would do another one. I want to get into doing some more Killing Floor 2 stuff, so definitely look forward to another off-perk weapon video coming sometime in the near future, but for this one, what we're actually going to be doing is taking a look at the latest content update, which is the Tactical Response Update. This one brought us the SWAT perk, a new map, and a ton of balance changes. In fact, every single perk has been rebalanced. But we're going to start off just talking about SWAT. So let's hop into a match here. And we'll go on to the new map, which is right here. And we'll just do Suicidal for now. That should be fine. So the big theme of this update, and let me actually give you the TLDR version, or the TLDW, Too Long Didn't Watch version. I think this is probably the best update so far, and I think there's no better time than now to pick this game up. It's got enough content now, they've listened to community feedback now, and actually, after some controversial decisions, some time that was spent without updates and that sort of thing, the game really took a hit in the reviews. It's back up to very positive, so I think most people also agree with my my sentiment on this. So the SWAT perk, let's take a look at it. Basically, you are using submachine guns, so think high ammunition and low damage, but also high fire rate. Your perks are kind of interesting. You got a few different ways you can go. Essentially, what I end up doing is starting like this, and then I sort of switch my perks out as I go through the match. But at 5, you get heavy armor training, which not only begins you with 50% armor, but also makes it so that as long as you have armor, you don't take health damage. Except from, of course, like sirens or falling off cliffs and that sort of thing, which is pretty strong. The alternative, no movement penalty for iron sights or crouching, I think this is better. Just hands down better. Then you've got close combat training, which is similar to Commando's one, increases your knife and pistol damage. However, it also starts you with dual pistols. Basically, there's no reason to not start with this, because even if you don't use the extra pistol, you can sell it for a little extra cash. Or, excuse me, a little extra dosh. Then what I'll usually do is switch over to Tactical Reload, because that's more useful, in my opinion. Then you've got Stumble Power or Increased Ammo. I generally take this because this is very useful against like Skrakes. However, you do go through ammo pretty quickly, so this could be useful as well. It's up to you on that one. And then this one increases your maximum armor by 50%, so you can have up to 150 armor, and you begin the game with 50% more armor. So if you stack these two, you begin the game, or you spawn rather, with 100 armor, which is pretty strong. What this means, however, is that it's extremely expensive to fill up your armor, so if you include the fact that filling up all your ammo is also crazy expensive, it's good to start with this, but in a team setting, I might actually go for this. This slowdown on Zeds is actually really strong. In fact, you can outrun a flesh pound that's raged if you just shoot his legs a little bit. And then your Z time skill that you get at 25, this is pretty cool. Basically, you move in real time like a berserker, and when you crash into Zeds, you sort of knock them over. But this is hands down better. Shoot in real time and don't run out of ammo. Yeah, never don't pick this. Never don't. Just always pick this. Let's put it that way. Anyways, let's hop right in and let's take a look at how the SWAT class plays. SWAT perk, not class. So this is the new map, by the way. The collectible item is the eyeball, as you see there. This is actually a community-made map, and it's pretty nice looking. It's got a lot of its own assets and stuff, which is cool, because a lot of the community maps just have recycled assets from the official maps. So it's nice to see some unique textures and meshes and that sort of thing. I'm going to play through this round pretty much using the pistols. And one thing you will find right away is that the game feels quite a bit more dynamic. There are a few reasons for this. First of all, Tripwire actually brought over some of the unique Zeds from the Versus mode that nobody liked. Myself sort of included. I think the Versus mode has a lot of potential, but I don't really find myself playing it, unfortunately. But what they did was they brought over some cool ideas like Alpha Zeds. So, for instance, you get these Alpha Clots that buff the other Zeds, you get Alpha Crawlers that can explode, and you get Bloats that sometimes drop mines upon death. And we couple this with some new Zed behaviors. You'll notice the Gorefast a moment ago actually blocked, or attempted to block my shots. And you'll find that Crawlers and Slashers, which are those sort of crazy psycho clots, will dodge out of the way, as well as Stalkers. Bloats will block, Skrakes and Fleshpounds will block. And what this means is that the Zed behavior is now a lot more unpredictable. Or put a better way, it's a lot less predictable. So, in the past, the Zeds would just walk at you in a straight line. You know, maybe they had their unique attacks or whatever, but it wasn't really that big a deal. 833. I'm going to go straight for the MP5, I think. Yeah. And we'll check out both of these this round. And then switch over to Tactical Reload. So anyways, you got the unique Zeds and the unique Zed behaviors. Now, these don't spawn every time. It's semi-random. Basically, there are a certain amount of them that can spawn within a wave. And then the Zed behaviors don't activate every single time. This means you have a lot more variation in the enemies that you encounter, and a lot more variation in the way that the fights actually play out. I think that was the biggest problem that KF2 had, was that at a certain point, it just starts to get a little bit predictable. Alright, that is an Alpha Crawler, so I shoot him. He's going to explode. I'm going to get out of the poison. It doesn't do really that much damage unless you just stand in it forever. And in fact, a lot of times it's more useful to you because you can hurt the Zeds with it. Score fast blocking. You notice these guys have been buffed. That's that red aura. I'll cut my way out here, I think. And this is our tier 1 weapon, the MP7. This is my Z time skill, by the way. Unfortunately, there's not really anybody to shoot at the moment. Shoot him. You will notice that this gun is holding 60 rounds. That is because I'm level 25, and you get extra ammo in each of your perk weapons as you level up. Up to double, basically, at the end. So you'll notice this weapon is actually very, very strong for a tier 1. It is a one-shot to headshot clots, which is quite powerful, actually. If you really want to, you can fire it in single fire. I don't know, just feels wrong to fire this thing in single fire, though. Even though it's certainly more efficient. We'll check out the MP5 as well. This one's actually been rebalanced because it was terribly underpowered when it first came out. But they buffed the ammo on it, and so now it's a lot better. The iron sights are a little bit harder to use than the red dot here. However, the MP5 has a little bit more power, higher fire rate, and basically zero recoil. Like, look what happens when I just hold down the trigger. You have to correct very little to actually nail your shots with that. By the way, I will show you the best place that I've found to camp out on this map. However, in general, what you'll find is that SWAT tends to be better at kiting around the map than camping out in a specific area. Okay. I guess I'll hold on to these for another round. Let's take a look here. I think I'm gonna switch over to Cripple and then fill up my armor. This way I only have 100 armor to fill, so it's a lot less expensive, and I can upgrade to my P90 next round. Next wave. Alright, here's our camping spot on this map. Basically, the enemies come from two sides, so if you have somebody on each side, you should be okay. They're going to come from up here as well as here, though, so you have to watch out a little bit. Ah, you heard that Scrake spawn? This is another element that has been mixed up. Now, well, first of all, let me show you our grenades as the SWAT. It's a flashbang that will stun enemies, meaning that you can solo Scrakes pretty effectively. I'm going to be honest, I would not be surprised if this class got a nerf. It probably will. It's already been nerfed a little bit. But even on... I mean, granted, any class can solo a Scrake or a Fleshpound, but you can very easily solo a Scrake without even getting hit, so I think maybe that's a little bit too strong. You'll notice another perk of using the exploding crawlers is that you can see stalkers because they're taking poison damage. Ah. I have to push my way out of here. Like I said, SWAT is really not that good at sitting still and defending. It's more about running around. Now, as far as what enemies you're good at killing and what enemies you're bad at killing, I think the hardest enemy for you as a SWAT, besides obviously like a Fleshpound, which is the hardest enemy for everybody, except for Demo, the hardest enemy is actually Gorefast, because you don't have very much damage per shot, so when he throws up his machete blade to block, you kind of have to either wait or waste a lot of ammo. Although you can shoot around the machete blade if you're precise enough. Is that time? Perfect. Oh, the MP5, by the way, also has a burst fire built in. Not horribly useful, but... Alright, so we can definitely get the P90 this time, and then hopefully get the Vector the time after. By the way, you do have enough carrying capacity that you can carry 3 guns as the SWAT, which is pretty nice. Alright, so let's get this. Get some more ammo for that. Fill my armor. I might fill this a little bit because the ammo is just so inexpensive that it's pretty useful. Not to mention, this thing is strong enough that you really can keep using it until you get to Scrakes. Speaking of, I was addressing that large Zeds can come on different waves now, so you can actually get a Scrake as early as Wave 2, which is pretty awesome. It definitely forces you to be a little bit more cautious. And actually, you can get more large Zeds to spawn, so... Whereas before, it was like, okay, Wave 7 is here, we're getting 2 Fleshpounds at the beginning, 2 Fleshpounds at the end. You can actually get up to 3 Fleshpounds at a time. In fact, I think I've seen 4 spawn. I can't remember for sure, but I think I have. Somebody can correct me if that's actually not possible. To compensate for this, however, they actually decreased the large Zed's health a little bit, but increased their damage. So, one of the best things about killing Floor 2, in my opinion, has always been how the large Zeds are not just bullet sponges. They're difficult to kill because of their attacks, because of their damage, not because, you know, it's just like, oh, I have to sit here and empty 7 magazines into this guy to kill him. Now, of course, it takes some work to take down a Fleshpound, but it's not like everybody sits there and empties, you know, 50 mags in him before he dies. Well, that was lucky that he was deciding to shoot instead of flamethrower. By the way, this is the P90. It's pretty cool because with my extra ammo, it holds 100 rounds. which is as strong as you would imagine. It's got pretty good fire rate, pretty good damage, and then just, of course, ridiculous ammo capacity. So that's pretty awesome. Alright. I think it's going to be right down here, yeah. So this is a pretty good map. It flows pretty well. I've pretty much figured out my way around it, although sometimes I forget where certain things are. Okay, this is going to give me... I'm not going to quite have enough to get the vector yet, so... That's fine. We'll just stick with this, I guess. I do want to play some other classes just a little bit, because, like I said, they've all been rebalanced, and for the better. All in all, I'm really happy about this update. I think this is the best the game has ever been. It's pretty cool, huh?
I'm about to shut the pod.
What has always really amused me is you see posts on like the forums complaining about balance, and usually I suspect these people are playing on like hard. The balance of the game, in my opinion, should be based around Hell on Earth, because that is where that's where the most fun is going to be, in my opinion. And also that's where the more hardcore crowd, I guess, is gonna be. And you should always cater to your hardcore fans, because they're the ones that are gonna keep playing your game. Okay, okay, okay. That flamethrower will still just tear you to pieces, by the way. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Fleshpound's gonna spawn in front of me, isn't he? Well, not so far. Armor is gone. That's going to be a little bit of a problem. There it is. So obviously if I was not on solo, that would not have killed him. But you can still do a pretty significant chunk of damage. And it's worth noting the stun does not work if he is raged or if he's, you know, swinging at you. It's the same with the Skrakes. If you get them while they're walking, it'll generally work, but not if they're in the process of, you know, killing you. But it's still really strong, definitely. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to upgrade to the Chris. So let's ditch this. And armor, this, and that. So the Vector. It's ridiculously strong, let's just put it that way. That's the best way I can put it. 66 rounds is nothing to sneeze at. The damage is higher than any of the other SMGs, and look at this fire rate and recoil. Yeah. You can just tear everything to shreds with this weapon. So I think we'll do one more round as SWAT, and I want to switch over to Demo, because I want to show you the new Demo weapon. And then hopefully we can get to the boss as well, because I want to show off some balance changes they've made there. Come on, guys. Okay, we got a Skrake. Alright, I was going to hang out here and wait for the Skrake, but I don't want to get surrounded, so we're going to not do that. Alright, so let's do this. Just look how strong this gun is. Especially with that stumble power. I'm going to get like several seconds of free shots because he's going to stumble halfway to me. Remember, on multiplayer, he's going to have a lot more health, do a lot more damage, so it's not going to be that simple, but still, you can get an idea for how powerful this class is. Okay, I want to get out of this narrow little corridor. I don't know why I came in here. I think you can definitely see where this class excels in just pumping out lots of rounds of ammunition. You really don't... You've got enough ammo that, you know, it's always going to be helpful to aim for the headshots, but some of your skills are actually based around not aiming for the headshots. You know, you aim at the legs to slow the Zeds down. Actually, I will show that if we get another flesh pound, which we will, probably. The spawns, of course, for large Zeds are less if you're playing on solo. We might actually not get one. Oh, another thing I didn't mention. Zed squads can now spawn in different combinations. A bunch of different combinations. So, you know, before you might get like 3 clots, 2 gorefests, and a husk. Look at that. This is so strong. And now you can get a lot more interesting combinations, or scary combinations. So for instance, you can have 5 husks all spawn in a single group. Same with sirens, you know, you can get multiple sirens spawning in a group, and it's just another thing that adds to the dynamic nature of the rounds now. They're just a lot more... I thought I heard something. There are a lot more variables. Alright, so I'm going to shoot this guy in the leg, and I'm going to show you how significant the slowdown effect is. Look at that. It doesn't last all that long, but it's very, very powerful, as you can probably tell. Okay, so I'm going to switch over to demo now and hope that I don't... Well, how much time are we at? We're at like less than 25 minutes. I'm going to finish this one out as SWAT, I think. I'm trying to... I don't want this video to get too terribly long, so yeah, I'll switch over to demo now. I'll show off the new demo weapon, and then we'll finish up as Berserker, I guess. Alright, so demo, which is still my favorite class by far, by the way. I should be able to get all my stuff as well. Good. So, as always, choose the RPG, it's the best, but this weapon. This is the M16, which was in Killing Floor 1. You got this, and your middle mouse launches a grenade, which is pretty awesome. I believe that the rifle is equivalent to Commando's Bullpup, and the grenade is equivalent to the M79 launcher. That's in power, however, the radius is actually less, so you have to be a little bit careful. And then also the you'll notice the ammo capacity is not amazing compared to the other rifles, so you definitely have to be a little bit more careful with your ammo. But look at that. You can now be a completely self-sufficient demo. Which, to be fair, you could pretty much do by using the Desert Eagle before, but I think I've actually come to prefer this to using the Desert Eagle. The other great thing is that it's very easy to hit off your nuke if you trigger the Z time with your rifle. Okay, we're gonna have to run here, I think. Remember, playing solo, you really don't want to sit still for too long. You'll notice another change to demo is that the nuke will now trigger regardless of what distance you're at. Ah, shoot. Cut my way out here. Okay, I definitely heard a Scrake just now. I'm looking forward to Fleshbounds, hopefully.
When you're done.
The direct hit with the RPG is still, like, one of the most powerful hits in the entire game. And the demo perk tree has been adjusted so that you can focus on AoE with less damage, or you can focus on direct hit damage and critical damage. I guess we're not going to get Fleshbounds. That's a little bit of a shame, but that's fine, I guess. Whoops.
Please tell me that's not a chainsaw he's carrying.
Alright, let's see if I can one-shot him with the RPG. I feel like I probably can. Yep.
Spend freely.
Alright.
Things are about to get serious.
So we will switch over to Berserker, I guess, for the boss, or... I don't know, I kind of feel like using the RPG, because it does crazy damage regardless of which boss you are facing. So yeah, we'll do that. Another big change is the bosses. They've been rebalanced, and they're a lot better now. I still think Hans needs a little bit more work, because Hans is definitely more difficult than the Patriarch still. So they haven't quite gotten it yet, but he's definitely better. His shield is a little bit easier to break. He has a little bit less health in general. But he's not as easy as he was when they made him like sprint across the map for 30 minutes and come back to you. He does run away briefly, but then makes a beeline for you to heal up, so he's definitely more difficult than he was. The other cool thing is that they've switched out the way ammo works during the boss waves. So, you know, previously you had to buy 50 guns because otherwise you were going to run out of ammo. Well, now all of the ammo drops will spawn. Oh, it's Patriarch anyway. So all the ammo drops are going to spawn at the beginning of the boss wave, and they're going to respawn at a pretty high rate, which means that you no longer have to worry about ammo so much. It's just about, you know, getting killed by the boss. Where is he? Should be coming from here. Look at that damage. By the way, Patriarch will now walk while he fires his gun once he takes a certain amount of damage, which is a lot more dangerous. No longer can you just walk behind a barrier and be okay. Whoops, I missed. Thank goodness for explosive resistance, huh? Actually, this demo, you can very easily kill him before he heals, but we'll let this go a little bit longer. One of my favorite strats for the bosses is to get the C4, stick him with it, and then just blow him up when he goes to heal. Oh, shoot. That's pretty fun. See you. Reminder, by the way, if you are facing it like the boss or a large Zed, it's a good idea to jump right before you're about to be hit, because this means that they will knock you away and it's harder for them to get a second hit on you. You'll get some distance.
Hey, there's ammo over here. There of a new one. That is fresh.
Come on. You notice the recoil on this thing is pretty gnarly, but it's not that big a deal if you just fire in bursts.
Out to kill you.
Ah,
Gotcha.
he's coming from this way, isn't he?
Picking them off.
Yep. So now he's walking while he fires, which means you have to pay very close attention to your corners, because otherwise you can get stuck in a spot where he's just going to basically gun you down with no way of stopping it. So for instance there, I jumped so he would knock me further away. Gotta be a little bit careful now, actually. Ooh.
Lovely and jubbly. Damn, it's that invisible bitch again.
Okay.
I found ammo.
So after this, we'll do one more short match, probably. I'm going to show off the Berserker, I think, because the Berserker's had some pretty big tweaks. And then hopefully we get Hans that time, and then we'll probably call it. Come on, you. The nuke has been nerfed, most definitely, but it's still ridiculously powerful, and it's still ridiculously satisfying to pull off. I think my rockets are actually doing more damage to him than his would do to mine. Okay, I need to get out of this little tunnel.
Hits the spot.
Oh, missed. No, 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 no. It's gonna be like one more shot, maybe. See ya, friend. Yep. Oh, another thing that's been tweaked, as we'll see here. This is my first match I played today. Yep. You can now get 1 drop per day. And although I did get a USB this time, they've actually tweaked the drop rates. You're much more likely to get weapon skins now than you are, well, than you were before. I think USBs are still more common than weapon skins, of course, but yeah. So you're not getting headbands and USBs every single time anymore. All right, so let's just do a quick one here. Play on hostile grounds, and I'm just going to do a short match. I just want to show off Berserker and talk about some of the other balance changes. And hopefully we get Hans, so I can show you that boss fight as well. La-di-da. Loading times are still kind of long, but oh well, there's not... I don't know if there's much they can do about that. Alright. So we'll start as Berserker. Let's take a look at the perks. Actually, let's just go through all the perks really quick. So Commando has basically got 2 routes now. You can go increased weapon capacity, magazine capacity, or increased damage. So nothing too crazy here. You've got increased health, increased damage, reload speed, or you've got higher capacity. Support now gets passive, some new passive abilities. And if I click out of this, you got the ammo backpack and a door repair and carrying capacity. All that is now passive, so you can carry more guns by default. You're basically looking at reload or high capacity, extra health, extra damage. You can decrease your spread or increase your penetration. And then you've got a crazy resupply that gives your teammates armor. Stumble power, and then the usuals. Here you actually have a fire in real time now, which is ridiculously strong. Medic got a huge overhaul. You no longer can heal armor at all, so instead you get basically buffs. So you can increase the teammates' movement speed, damage, and damage resistance, which is pretty interesting actually. It means that if your teammates are running away from like a flesh pound, you can shoot them with darts and get them some extra speed. However, Medic's not nearly as strong anymore because, again, you can't heal armor now. As far as I can tell, damage Medic still really isn't viable, so I don't know. They need to do something about that. Demo we already took a look at. Basically, you're looking at AoE or damage to a single target. Firebug is similar, but it works a little bit better due to the Z resistances, which we'll talk about. The biggest change to Gunslinger is now the Rack 'em Up perk for headshots will tick down on a timer. So before it was like every time you missed a shot, your counter would go down, and so it was kind of pointless because Gunslinger, in my opinion, should be all about just, firing off dual pistols like a Tarantino movie or something. So now you can basically just keep tapping the button. The only thing that's going to make your headshot counter go down is waiting too long between headshots. So that's good. Sharpshooter is pretty much the same, I think. What I will tell you is that with 6-man Hell on Earth, if you have all of the damage perks on, you can one-shot a Scrake, which is pretty awesome if you're using the railgun. And then SWAT we already looked at. So cool, let's look at Berserker then. You've got this Vampire skill, which is really not very good because you have to actually get the kill on the Zed to recover health. And attacking faster and doing more damage is just better. The big choice here is choosing between increased total health or faster movement speed and passive health regeneration. I have been choosing this one, so in my opinion this one's better, unless you're planning to do a Zerk wall, in which case you could do this one. So if you have a dedicated medic standing behind you and you're basically just blocking off an area, then this one could be good, but I like this one. It basically means that you don't have to rely on your medic. Your medic can be free to deal with other people on your team. And also you have a lot more survivability. You got extra damage when you parry, or Siren and bloat resistance. I don't know, it's up to you on that one. I've been going with this one just in case I run around a corner into a bloat or something. And then you can choose between light attacks or heavy attacks doing more damage. Choose this one for a reason that I will show you. And then these are the same, I think. So anyways, let's hop in. I don't want this video to be an hour long, so... Alright, so we'll check out what happens when I take damage. You notice if I just back off for a couple seconds, I start healing pretty quickly. Now this is not going to keep you alive if you have like a Scrake hitting you, but if you're in a group of clots, you'll probably be okay. And man, that melee system is still so satisfying. I think that you can go. I will go on record here. I will say that the shooting and just the overall combat in this game is the most satisfying combat that I have ever experienced in a first-person game ever. They really nailed, especially the shooting. The melee is really great too, but they nailed the balance between having like arcadey shooting that is fast-paced and fun, and having authentic shooting. Not necessarily realistic, but authentic in that the weapons feel like you would expect them to feel. The sound assets are great, and the recoil patterns are there. The weapons don't feel like bullet hoses. They really have some kick to them, so you really have to correct your aim for recoil. There's definitely skill involved, and the game really nails that feeling where you simultaneously feel incredibly powerful but incredibly vulnerable at the same time. Alright, let's get the katana. The katana is now actually a berserker weapon. Originally, the people sort of data mined the game files to find out that the final perk we're getting was supposed to be martial artist. They basically came out and said that's not going to be the case. They said the final perk they're still working on, they're not quite sure yet, but it's not going to be what we think it is. So originally this weapon was going to be for the martial artist perk. We're not getting that now, which I'm actually okay with. I don't see the need for two different melee perks. I think it's kind of pointless. Although, for sure, it would have been cool to see what they would have come up with. But I kind of suspect that the final perk, and this is pure conjecture, I have no evidence to back this up, but I kind of suspect it might be an energy weapon perk, because if you think about it, we have one energy weapon, which is the microwave gun. I feel like they're going to add more. I don't know. Maybe not. Where are we at, children? So, now that this weapon is actually part of the Berserker perk, it is ridiculously strong. You can kill most things with a single heavy attack to the face. In addition, the weapon is quite fast, and perhaps most significantly, it's a very lightweight weapon that can parry Scrakes and Flesh Pounds, which is really strong. But look at this, that's just glorious. I didn't talk about the Z resistances. You can do that. This is something that they rolled out a little bit ago and have been refining it. Of course, the structure of this video has been somewhat rambly, but that's to be expected for my channel, I guess. Not to mention the fact that I'm doing all this in real time, so... Gotta concentrate on killing the Zeds, right? So the resistances, basically, was something they rolled out a little bit ago, where certain Zeds are strong against certain weapons and weak against others.
Let's get you restocked.
When they first put this in the game, it was a mess. Like, firebugs couldn't kill crawlers, and Gorefast couldn't be killed by pistols, basically. It just took so much ammo to do so. They've really balanced it better now, so... bloats and crawlers are going to be weak to fire. Gorefasts are going to be weak to shotguns. Enemies with metal on them, so like large Zeds, and then sirens are going to be weak to...
Make your choices.
Here, let's do that. Are going to be weak to microwave or energy weapons. And it's subtle enough that, yes, you are going to have enemies you're better at killing, but you can kill any enemy as any class, which is good. That's how it should be.
Last chance.
So they've really nailed that down, which means that each perk has its own place now. Like, there is not a useless perk. Some, you know, can configure to be better at certain things, but every perk has a place. It's not like somebody joins in as, you know, a certain perk and you're like, well, they're going to be useless. So that's good.
Rank.
But anyways, one of the things is that bloats got a lot tougher to, like, melee damage, so taking off the heads is a little bit harder as a berserker now. Which is one of the reasons why I've been choosing the bloat resistance. Okay, so why did I choose the heavy attack damage perk? That's because these perks apply to this thing. So when you launch the saw blade, that counts as a heavy attack. And this means you get a crazy damage bonus, to the point where you can two-shot a Scrake on Hell on Earth with 6 people. Which means Berserker is now good at pretty much everything. You can take out the trash, like so, and you can take out the large guys. And the fact that you can carry the Katana and the Eviscerator, crazy strong. Before, I definitely always went with the Pulverizer and the Zweihander. However, I've moved over to this because I feel this is a little bit stronger. It depends though, because Pulverizer is better for flesh pounds. So, again, it's one of those things that's up to you. You know, both are effective, just for different purposes. Oh, another thing I didn't notice. You see that? That indicator shows where the last 5 Zeds are. So, they put this in because they finally listened to the community and did away with the teleporting. No more do Zeds teleport in front of you while you kite around the map.
Get to the indicated pod.
And so to prevent the end of the waves from dragging out, they added that indicator so that you can find them. In fact, I'm surprised I didn't mention this earlier. I didn't think to mention this earlier because this is like probably the most significant thing. People have been complaining about this since day one, and they finally gave in and said, you know what? Alright, we got it figured out. No more Zed teleporting. They say that the only time a Zed should teleport now is if it gets completely stuck, like on the map geometry.
Close the pod very soon.
Which is perfect, because the thing about it before was that they wanted you to kite around the map rather than just camp in a single spot. But this was impossible because every single corner you would go around, the same siren would just teleport there. Which was infuriating. And that's fixed now. Just all in all, like, man, I'm so happy with this update. You know, I said I didn't want this video to be an hour long, and it kinda is going to be.
Go kill some Zeds.
I'm gonna keep going though, because hopefully we get Hans. If we get Patriarch, I might just quit and give my final, I don't know. Patriarch dies really fast to Berserker also. The Saw Blade launcher, man. By the way, the as you might imagine, the frequency with which you get the special Z behaviors, and also the frequency with which the large or the alpha Zs spawn, is increased as you play on the higher difficulties and as you play with more people. Oops. You'll notice I'm really not in any danger. Like, yeah, my armor's getting depleted, but big deal. See ya. The hitboxes in this game are so good. As a stalker is, you know, somersaulting through the air, you can aim your slash and cut off her leg, or, you know, cut off her head in mid-flip. Like, the collision detection on the shooting and the melee is just amazing.
Finish the last ones off, so I can open the trigger pod for you.
Whoops, whoops. By the way, you can actually parry with this now, but it takes a little bit to recover from, so the parry is not as strong as on, say, the katana, which parries quite quickly. Whoops.
Make these last purchases count.
Alright, boss time. Let's hope it's Hans.
You're a real survivor.
It's actually really hard to break Hans' shield if you're playing solo. It can be done.
Bonjour. Come and get your tools of trade.
Okay, I don't actually want that, so... Get dual pistols instead, I guess. I don't know.
Make your choices.
I've got like one extra weight carrying this and this, which on a multiplayer would be definitely dedicated to a medic pistol, but I don't know. I don't even need these, but whatever. Boss time.
Last chance. I have to power down the pod.
I think at this point you've pretty much figured out that I think this is just fantastic. If you were on the fence, this is the perfect time to pick it up. They've said, oh, look at that.
It seems I must take a personal hand in this. How tedious.
Perfect. If you were on the fence, this is the time. They've said now that the game is going to be out of early access by the end of the year. So that's good. And in addition to that, now I'm going to do a whole separate video on the microtransactions and the whole early access model of this game, because I think it's interesting the way it's developed. But basically, the microtransactions, which are purely cosmetic, are going to allow them to keep updating the game post-release. So, where's he at? Yeah, I'm not going to be able to break his shield. There's no way. So I'm just going to let him grab me.
See how brave you. It was amusing to test your defenses a little. Now I shall actually try.
So anyways, what they want this to be like, and I definitely believe them, they want this to be like KF1, where they continue to update it for years down the line. New content, maps. They've already confirmed new weapons for each class, which is great. There's already a pretty good variety of builds that you can do, but I want there to be even more. Like, I want you to be able to play each class or each perk in like 3 or 4 different ways and still be effective. And that's what they're looking at for the future. The game does go on sale relatively frequently, like not all the time, but so if you're still a little bit leery, then yeah, wait for a sale, but otherwise you want this one. If you have any interest in this kind of game, there's just, like I said, the shooting is amazing. There's a surprising amount of depth and play styles depending on your team composition and what Zeds happen to spawn in, you know, whether you want to camp or you want to kite. It's just great. It's one of my favorite games. And I think it's only going to get better. Anyway, people, And stuff like that happens. Just freaking chopped in half. Beautiful. Alright, everyone. We're going to call it here. I am going to be doing more Killing Floor 2 videos in the future, like I said. I've already done one off-perk weapon video. I'm going to do another one of those. I want to do a new video as well, breaking down the whole early access thing, the slip-ups, and the somewhat triumphant return, as it seems to be, and that sort of thing. So, yeah, there will be more KF2 in the future. Maybe even some montages like I did with KF1. Anyways, this has been a not-so-quick look, a very long look, in fact, at the Tactical Response Update. I think it's awesome. I think you should pick it up. And I'm going to continue playing for a long time to come. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you next time.